and welcome to the Dynamic Duel podcast, a weekly show where we review superhero films and debate the superiority between Marvel and DC by comparing their characters in stat-based battle simulations. I'm Marvelous Joe.
And I'm his twin brother, Johnny DC.
And this is the episode where we all get to hear Jonathan cry because he's going to lose this team duel where we pit the Arkham Asylum inmates against the Sinister Six. It's going to be funny.
Yeah, you guys get to hear me cry tears of joy when I win.
We've been building to this episode for a while now. Of course, we're pitting Batman's Rogues Gallery against Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. It's going to be a 7v7 team duel matchup. We do these every 25 episodes. This is episode 275, and it's always a big event. It's always a great time.
Yeah, I feel like it wasn't too long ago that we pit Justice League Dark against the Midnight Suns. That time went by like super quick.
Yeah, these team duels are coming quicker and faster now that we're doing it every 25 episodes. Around this time last year, we did Suicide Squad versus the Defenders, like New York Defenders team. And then we've also done Justice Society versus Fantastic Four, Titans versus X-Men, and of course, Justice League versus Avengers.
Yeah, all fun episodes. This one also going to be fun. Look forward to the main events later on in the episode.
Before that, we're going to break down the comic book movie news that came out in the past week. We got this new teaser for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It was called Dream, and it was the announcement that tickets are now on sale for the Doctor Strange sequel. So we'll talk about that. And we also learned that Charlize Theron is producing Aqualad series for HBO Max.
As always, we list our segment times in our episode description, so feel free to check out the show notes if you want to skip ahead to a particular topic.
Real quick, we want to give a shout out to Guyman1433 and Marvel Forever Fuck DC for both leaving us reviews on Apple Podcasts. That was really nice of you guys. Thanks for doing that.
Especially to Guyman1433 for having a cool name. Not so much the other one.
What are you talking about? That's the best screen name. But as you guys know, as we mentioned last week, this month, when you review our podcast or your favorite episode of this podcast on podchaser.com, they will donate 25 cents to World Central Kitchen to help provide food supplies for families in need fleeing Ukraine. So if you haven't already, visit podchaser.com/dynamic duel and write us a review there as opposed to anywhere else that you might write us a review. And we'll respond to your reviews for another 25-cent donation. So let's all be superheroes together and fight world hunger and help those in Ukraine. Again, go to podchaser.com/dynamic duel.
And guys, don't forget to join us on Patreon, where we offer ad-free episodes of the show via a custom RSS feed. But we also offer bonus content, including top 10 episodes and bloopers, monthly live movie watch-alongs, and access to our Discord chat server. Check it out right after this episode at patreon.com/dynamic duel, linked in our show notes. Our lowest tier is only $2 a month.
But with that out of the way,
quick to the No Prize. A No Prize is an award Marvel used to give out up until the 90s to fans. Our version, the Dynamic Duel No Prize, is a digital award we post on social media that I personally draw for those who we feel gave the best answer to our question of the week. Last week's question tied into the news that Sharon Stone had been cast as Victoria Cord, the villain in the upcoming Blue Beetle movie. So we asked, who would you cast as Ted Cord in the Blue Beetle movie?
Yeah, assuming he's even going to be in it. We got some pretty damn good answers for this one, so let's go ahead and run down our honorable mentions, as well as the No Prize winner. Our first honorable mention goes to Miggy Matangian, who said,
"Hey guys, this is Miggy, and I would cast Steven Yeun as Ted Cord because he's a great actor, and it would be dope to have two people of color as Blue Beetle. But I don't think Ted should be in the movie because Jaime's arc is best when Ted is dead, because he has to figure out how to be a hero by himself, then later live up to Ted's legacy. Also, like Lizzie said on Discord, Victoria is definitely Ted's evil aunt, so I think in the movie Ted died heroically, keeping the scarab out of the wrong hands, kind of like in Young Justice."
Well, in that regard, I think it would be good to see Ted Cord make that sacrifice, so I would argue that it would be beneficial to have Ted Cord in the movie. And in that regard, Steven Yeun's a great choice. You know, I don't think I've seen him in much since the Walking Dead television series, but he did do the voice for Invincible in that television show, and that is such a damn good show.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see too much family resemblance between him and Sharon Stone, but he is a great actor, and I think he would do great in the role. This has got to be a comedy role. It's Ted Cord we're talking about here, right? He's a pretty funny character in the comics, and I think Steven Yeun has the comedic chops. Our next honorable mention goes to Lizzie Dyer, who said,
"Hey, it's Lizzie. My choice to play Ted Cord would be Ed Helms. He's not your typical action star, but Ted's not your typical hero either. And he can make up for it with physical comedy. He's funny and charming in a nerdy sort of way, which is exactly what Ted should be, and he'd be a great role model for young Jaime. Plus, who wouldn't want a hangover reunion with Bradley Cooper as Booster Gold? Bwahaha!
This answer came so close to winning because it is so brilliant. Like, Ed Helms is a funny guy. I've been a big fan of his, especially in the Hangover movies. He was so great.
I love Ed Helms and anything I see him in. A lot of people didn't like the Vacation movie he was in. I loved that. I thought it was hilarious. This guy, I think, would make a great Ted Cord. Plus, throw in Bradley Cooper as Booster Gold.
But who would Zach Galifianakis play?
Guy Gardner.
I'd buy tickets to that.
This needs to happen.
I would absolutely see that, for sure.
Todd Phillips for the director, too. Just put all of them in the next Joker movie.
I guess. There you go. Our next honorable mention goes to Brandon Estergaard, who said,
Hey guys, sorry for the late answer. I think Bryan Cranston would be an excellent older Ted Cord, kind of ready to hand off the mantle. I still want to see the Blue Beetle suit and him in it, so I want them to do like a flashback with some digital de-aging in a very Power Rangers-esque Blue Beetle suit.
You mean Big Bad Beetleborgs-esque Blue Beetle suit. This is an interesting answer because it kind of portrays Ted Cord past his prime, kind of retired from superheroing as Blue Beetle in his younger days. And I'm here for it. I like it. Bryan Cranston is a brilliant actor.
Yeah, he could act the shit out of this role. I love the idea of Ted Cord as an older mentor figure. And cast Aaron Paul as Booster Gold. Breaking Bad reunion. We want to give a quick shout out to Wilf Wright, who took the time to visit our website and record an answer. But the winner of this week's No Prize is Sana Farhumand, who said,
Hey guys, Sana Farhumand here. It's been a while. I think that Blue Beetle by Ted Cord would be really well done by Zach Braff. Yeah, I think it'll bring a very fun dynamic to the character, and his co-star on Scrubs, whose name I do not remember, plays Booster Gold in the Arrowverse. But yeah, Zach Braff or Ted Cord, 2023. Cheers.
Now, this answer has kind of been doing the rounds around the internet ever since Donald Faison was cast as Booster Gold in the Legends of Tomorrow television show. I think Zach Braff not only looks the part of Ted Cord, but we know that he could play like the dopey genius. He's led quite a few big screen pictures, and he would be such a fun addition to this cast.
Dude, I freaking loved Scrubs. It was like one of the best comedy shows of all time. We just needed to have like an entire Scrubs reunion. Like John C. McGinley could be Guy Gardner, Sarah Chalk could be Ice, Judy Reyes could be Fire, Neil Flynn,
Captain Adam?
There you go. This would be great.
So great answer, Sana Farhumand. You win this week's No Prize. If you, the listener, want a shot at winning your own No Prize, stay tuned to later on this episode when we'll be asking another question of the week. And now that that's done,
on to the news.
All right, this past week, tickets have gone on sale for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. If you've not got your tickets yet, you better get them because they're going fast.
I think you can still find easy tickets to a matinee on a Sunday or something like that. I got my tickets at a matinee because I'm not paying full price for this shit.
Are you just hoping that you don't have to lose the bet we have going between the box office between Batman and Doctor Strange?
I'm pretty confident I'm still going to win that.
Well, you're not. Because this movie is like breaking records for ticket sales in 2022. Everyone's going to see it. It's going to be an awesome film, further reinforced by this awesome minute-long teaser that we got last week. Now, I didn't think we were going to get another trailer for this film, considering that the movie comes out in less than a month now. But it was pretty cool to get this last-minute preview. There's still a whole lot that we don't know that happens in this story as exemplified by this teaser, so let's go ahead and break it down. It starts off with Doctor Strange talking about how he has the same dream every night, and we see like Christine Palmer getting married, we see Kamar-Taj getting attacked, and it kind of transitioned into Wanda speaking about how she has the same dream, except she calls it a nightmare. Her particular nightmare being the loss of her twin boys that she had in WandaVision.
Yeah, it's cool to see them come back.
Yeah, that was very cool. We know at the end of WandaVision, Scarlet Witch was using the Darkhold as perhaps a way to bring back the children that she had lost within that show. We get another shot of what's been in all the trailers so far, which is Doctor Strange fighting against what looks to be Shumagorath, although I guess technically they can't call the creature Shumagorath due to copyright violations. I guess
really?
He was a character also in the Conan IP.
Oh, no way.
But it seems the movie is calling the creature Gargantos, who is actually some mariner villain. Kind of looks like an octopus.
Interesting.
There are other creatures in this trailer, too, appearing behind Wong and Scarlet Witch as they're preparing to do battle. I'm not sure who these creatures are. At first, I thought it was just one creature, and I was like, oh, this is Chthon, the Elder God of Chaos or something like that, because I suspected that he's the one behind Scarlet Witch's madness, considering Chthon is the author of the Darkhold, the Dark Book of Magic. But the fact that there are actually two of those creatures within the same shot as the camera pans over makes me think that these might just be creatures of chaos that Wanda is summoning or something like that. We get to see a multiversal variant of Christine Palmer within the Illuminati space, I think, because we see an Ultron robot running next to her. And we get to see what looks to be a zombie Scarlet Witch. We already know that we're going to visit the zombie-verse within this movie, which is going to be so amazing. I can't wait. We see a version of zombie Doctor Strange, and he looks pretty scary.
Yeah, we saw him a few trailers ago, right? And he had the black shadowy arms and stuff like that. That's going to be intense, I feel like, especially with Sam Raimi at the helm, a horror director.
Yeah,
for sure.
The Evil Dead guy himself. Yeah, it's going to be crazy. And the shot of, the evil Doctor Strange with his third eye opening up, that was creepy too. That's totally Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
But I like Strange's reaction where he's like, okay. Just keeps getting weirder and weirder. This trailer, though, does make me wonder who the ultimate villain is going to be for this film. Because, the prevailing theory right now is that it's Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, I think they're actually going to team up at the end. I think what we have here is a Batman v Superman scenario where they're going to be enemies initially, but then team up to fight the bad guy at the end. Except this marketing does a much better job of not spoiling who that ultimate villain will be.
Yeah, we're not going to have Cave Troll Doomsday pop out of nowhere here.
Maybe. It's the multiverse.
But, the main bad guy could be Chthon, considering we know that the Darkhold will be involved in the plot somehow since Scarlet Witch is using it. The main bad guy might be the Shumagorath Gargantos character, but the fact that dreaming seems to be a major theme within the film, and they even say the word nightmare here, could also indicate that the Doctor Strange villain Nightmare is the ultimate bad guy. So lots of different things going on here, lots of different possibilities as to who the final villain may be. It may be a variant of Doctor Strange himself. But that brings us to our question of the week. Who do you think will be the final villain in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? Scarlet Witch, Chthon, Gargantos, Doctor Strange variant, Nightmare, whole slew of possibilities. Give us your best guess and why.
You record your answer at dynamicduel.com by clicking on the red microphone button in the bottom right-hand corner, which will prompt you to leave us a voicemail. Your message could be up to 30 seconds long, and don't forget to leave your name in case we include you on the podcast. We'll pick our favorite answer and draw that person a Dynamic Duel No Prize that we'll post to social media. Be sure to answer before April 16th. In other news, we learned this last Friday, the same day that the Discovery Warner Brothers merger took place, that Charlize Theron is producing an Aqualad series for HBO Max. Now, this isn't exactly Aqualad from the comics. This is from a young adult book called You Brought Me the Ocean. And the series is supposed to be heavily inspired by this book, which was written by Alex Sanchez and illustrated by Joel Marrow.
Now, if this isn't the comic book version of Aqualad, which version of Aqualad is this?
Well, I guess you could say it's the comic version in that the character is Jackson Hyde. Now, in Young Justice, they have a version of Jackson Hyde that's not exactly Jackson Hyde, that's named Cal Durham. He's a really cool character. I actually don't know too much about Jackson Hyde in the comics, but I do know that he will be taking up the mantle of Aquaman pretty soon here this year in the comics.
Apparently he's the son of Black Manta, is that correct?
Yeah, Jackson Hyde and Cal Durham are both the sons of Black Manta. I'm not sure how much that'll play an influence in this series, and I'm not sure actually if this series will even tie into the Aquaman universe established by Zack Snyder and James Wan. Will Yahya Abdul-Mateen make a cameo in this series? I don't know. I'm actually not familiar with the storyline from this young adult book at all.
Yeah, from the description of the story, it kind of sounds like a superhero version of something like Call Me By Your Name or something.
Yeah, totally looks like that. Jackson Hyde is coming to terms with his romantic feelings for his high school swim team captain, Kenny Lou.
Now, I thought this was going to be animated, but it seems like it's actually going to be live action.
I believe it's going to be live action. It's being described as a 1-hour dramedy. We don't know how many episodes are going to be in the series yet. In fact, I don't think the show's even been written, so I'm not sure how soon we'll be seeing this series. Again, it is supposed to debut on HBO Max, but by the time this comes out, who knows if the platform will still be called HBO Max.
Yeah, I'm hoping it'll be called Disco Bros after Discovery and Warner Brothers.
It's possible, I guess. That'd be hilarious. If it were up to me, I would name it Warner Premiere. Of course, that's already a name taken by an animation studio within Warner Brothers, but I would just take it from them and be like, we're using it for our platform. In a world of pluses and primes, this is the Premiere.
It's not a bad name. It's pretty good. I like it. But I think that does it for all the news for this week, so let's go ahead and get into our main event, the big team duel that you guys have been waiting for, Arkham Asylum versus Sinister Six. All right, Arkham Asylum versus Sinister Six. This is our very first villain team duel episode. All the rest of our team duels have involved heroes, so we get to get particularly nasty with this one as we pit Batman's Rogues Gallery against Spider-Man's.
Yeah, this one's pretty interesting in that this is the first time I'm doing a team duel where the team isn't actually a team, per se. Like, Arkham Asylum is a place. It's not the name of a team of villains that team up together.
Yeah, and that's pretty interesting. As we all know, Spider-Man's villains have often teamed up together to form the Sinister Six throughout his history, but it seems like Batman's rogues have never really joined forces.
They have before, but it's just a lot more chaotic. Like, Spider-Man's villains are crazy, but they don't reach the level of crazy that Batman's villains do. Now, of course, we wanted to do a team of battle with the Sinister Six coming off of Spider-Man No Way Home, and the fact that we almost got to see that team on screen. When choosing a team to go up against Spider-Man's villains, I knew right off the bat that I wanted to go with Batman's rogues, considering that they are probably the most iconic villains in all of comics.
The Flash Rogues are pretty powerful as well, but I like this matchup more, and I think we'll put the Flash Rogues up against like the Brotherhood of Mutants or something like that later.
Yeah, I like that matchup idea a lot. Now, if you've never listened to one of our team duel episodes before, the way we determine a winner between the two teams is by running Monte Carlo simulations using the character's statistics. Now, Monte Carlo simulation is a probabilistic model used to determine outcomes through random sampling.
And in our case, it randomizes statistics along a normal distribution, which is a bell curve, as a way to simulate the many variables that can occur during battle. The stat parameters we use are based on the official Marvel Power Grid, and we use that criteria to extrapolate the DC team's stats. We've included some additional stat categories of our own, such as range, damage potential, versatility, and perception, in order to create a more complete and robust simulation. Now, typically with duel episodes, we compare sets of data against each other, but since this is 7 versus 7, we run matrices of data against each other for a total of 49,000 simulated matches. It's a lot of work. It's not easy. If you guys think it's easy, then I don't know what to say because it's not, and we hope you appreciate the hard work.
Yeah, if you think it's easy, then feel free to do it for us. Holy shit.
It takes a long time. But running these simulations gives us a percentage of wins for each team, and we declare the one with the higher percentage to be the ultimate victor, considering that that team is more likely to win any given battle. No team would ever win 100% of the time. Comics have shown that there's usually a way for, like, Batman to defeat Superman, and we feel our method falls in line with the precedents that have been established in the comic book stories.
And we use this method because it was the least subjective, most unbiased way to determine which team would win. Of course, we are both heavily biased toward our respective allegiances, so instead of debating these matches forever, we just let the math decide for us. So there's no fan votes here, and no relying on just feats.
Before we run the simulations, though, we like to break down each team's histories and rosters before improvising a scenario on how we imagine one of the simulations we run would play out beat for beat. And I will be going first with the Marvel team, so let me tell you guys all about Spider-Man's rogues team, the Sinister Six. Now, early in his career, Spider-Man, who you can learn more about in our duel Blue Beetle vs. Spider-Man, had a string of successes defeating a whole swath of villains that had sprung up to cause him trouble. Though his number of victories were stacking up, so were his list of vindictive enemies. Chief among them was Dr. Otto Octavius, also known as Dr. Octopus, who at the time of his second incarceration at the hands of Spider-Man, devised a plan to defeat the wall crawler for good. Using his technopathic link with his detached tentacle harness, Doc Ock broke out of prison and sent out a message to every single known villain that had tangled with Spider-Man requesting a meeting. Out of the dozen or so recipients, only 5 others responded to Doc Ock's initial call: Vulture, Sandman, Electro, Mysterio, and Kraven the Hunter. Individually, they had each almost beaten Spider-Man, and Doc Ock reasoned that together they couldn't fail, and he named the team the Sinister Six. The initial plan was to all attack Spider-Man simultaneously, however their alliance soon wore thin given that they were each too selfish to share the glory of Spider-Man's defeat with anyone else. Knowing that the team would not last long together, Doc Ock proposed a new plan where they would each still receive personal glory and kill Spider-Man by running him through a gauntlet of individual battles that would be sure to wear him down by the end. The Sinister Six then kidnapped Betty Brant from the Daily Bugle newspaper where Peter Parker worked, and a random innocent bystander who just happened to be Peter's Aunt May. The villains alerted the Bugle to send out a message for Spider-Man. To rescue the hostages, he had to go to the local electric plant. There, Electro was waiting for Spider-Man, though the villain was defeated when the hero tied a spool of grounding wire to his leg that rendered Electro's electric attacks inert. From there, Spider-Man went to the World's Fair, where Kraven the Hunter ambushed him with a pair of leopards, but Spider-Man was able to dodge and defeat them using his spider sense and advanced reflexes. From there, he was sent to an abandoned warehouse where Mysterio attacked Spider-Man using robotic duplicates of Cyclops, Beast, and Angel from the X-Men, whom you can learn more about in our Titans vs. X-Men episode. Spider-Man smashed them to bolts and defeated Mysterio before moving on to a courtyard where Sandman was waiting for him. The villain trapped them both in a solid metal container where Spidey couldn't escape. However, during the fight, Sandman ran out of oxygen and collapsed, whereas Spider-Man managed to outlast him with his superior lung capacity. He then met the Vulture at the top of a tall tower, where the Vulture made him disable his web shooters. He then captured Spidey with a rope and flew up high into the sky to drop the hero to his death. Spider-Man used the rope, however, to lasso Vulture and drop safely to the tower, where he then webbed the villain up. Lastly, Spider-Man fought Doc Ock, who tried to drown him in a water tank. But Spider-Man shot out the entirety of his web fluid into the water, gumming up Doc Ock's tentacles and letting Spider-Man escape the tank and finally rescue Betty Brant and Aunt May. It would be many years before the Sinister Six would try again, but eventually Doc Ock recruited the team again in a plot to extort cocaine addicts. The second iteration substituted Kraven, who was dead at the time, with Hobgoblin, though the group was defeated by Spider-Man with assistance from Sandman, who was reformed at the time and turned against his former allies. Soon after, several of Sandman's personal friends were killed, and he believed it was done by Doc Ock as revenge for betraying the team. To get back at Doc Ock, Sandman re-recruited his former Sinister Six allies, who all seemingly had a vendetta against their former leader. In a twist, however, the team turned against Sandman and turned him into glass as punishment for betraying the team earlier. Now, without Sandman to stop them, the Sinister Six went on an arms race, snatching up advanced weapons technology from alien and interdimensional worlds. In the process, they defeated not only Spider-Man, but the Hulk, Deathlock, and Solo. Eventually, it took the combined efforts of those defeated heroes, plus Fantastic Four, Nova, and the broken glass body of Sandman to defeat the Sinister Six and their new stolen weaponry. Later, Hobgoblin formed a Sinister Seven version of the team, including new members Shocker, Beetle, and Scorpion to defeat Spider-Man's clone Kane. However, Spidey was able to intervene to keep anyone from killing each other. The original team was later brought back together by Sandman, who had reverted to his criminal ways at this point and substituted Doc Ock for Venom, though Venom went fucking crazy and attacked the team, nearly killing some of them. Jeez. After a time, the Green Goblin hatched a plan to force Spider-Man to break him out of prison after having Aunt May kidnapped. Spider-Man obtained Black Cat's assistance in the breakout, and afterward the pair was greeted by 11 other villains led by Green Goblin, including newcomers Chameleon, Lizard, Hydro-Man, Hammerhead, Boomerang, and Tombstone. Together, they were the Sinister 12, and it took Spidey, Black Cat, Captain America, Iron Man, Daredevil, Ant-Man, and the Fantastic Four to defeat them and rescue Aunt May.
Should have been like the Terrifying 12.
Yeah, that would probably be better for alliteration, yeah. Though all the villains were defeated and arrested, Green Goblin managed to escape. A later version of the Sinister Six that included new recruits Grim Reaper and Trapster were defeated by the Secret Avengers, and another team that brought on Rhino helped Doc Ock carry out a final plan before his death due to illness, as he wanted to be known as the man who saved the planet from climate change, though in reality, Doc Ock's plan was to ramp up global warming. They commandeered a space station and several bases around the world before Spider-Man was able to stop them with help from Black Widow, Silver Sable, and the Avengers. Spider-Man was able to get Doc Ock to a doctor in an attempt to cure him, but that would eventually prove to be a costly decision, as the villain soon took over Peter Parker's body, becoming the superior Spider-Man. As the hero, Doc Ock found and defeated Sandman, Electro, Chameleon, Mysterio, and Vulture, implanting them with mind control technology to form the Superior Six. He led them as Spider-Man, using them to savagely fight crime, though eventually the group were released from their control during a fight, and they turned on the Superior Spider-Man, who had to team up with Sun Girl in order to survive.
Who's Sun Girl?
Sun Girl is a hero based off of an old Golden Age character. Most recently, Doc Ock, back in his original form, recruited a new Sinister Six team that went up against Vulture's Savage Six team in an event known as the Sinister War. You can learn more about the Savage Six in our Vulture duel against Firefly, and more about many of the rest of the team's ever-changing roster in our previous episodes. And when it came to the roster for the team in this duel, obviously I really wanted to include the original lineup because I think that they provide a great variation of power sets, and they're all pretty prominent Spider-Man villains. So for this match, Marvel's side will have Dr. Otto Octavius, Dr. Octopus, Adrian Toomes, aka Vulture, Max Dillon as Electro, Flint Marko, the Sandman, and Sergei Kravenov, known as Kraven the Hunter. The original six make for a great team, but since each team duel we do on this show incorporates 7 members, because that's how our simulation matrix is set up, I needed one more member. And what greater Spider-Man villain is there? The very bane of Spider-Man's existence, who has even led the Sinister Six before? None other than Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin. So it's the Sinister Six plus 1, or rather, the Sinister 7.
Yeah, and coming up with characters for my team, I already knew who was going to be on yours, so that largely inspired the picks that I made. Now again, this isn't an official team. Arkham Asylum is a place, so I'll be going mostly into the history of the asylum and the Arkham family behind it. Now, Gotham City has had a reputation for centuries for possessing a higher than average number of citizens who suffered from insanity. During the 19th century, Jason Blood, an occultist and human host of the demon Etrigan, who you can learn more about in our Etrigan vs. Ghost Rider episode, took up residence in Gotham City and bought a large plot of land with the intention of building a home in which he could help those suffering from insanity, people whom he believed were actually demon-possessed. After years of performing occult rituals and exorcisms within the mansion, Jason Blood eventually sold his estate to the Arkham family in the early 20th century, and it was renamed to Arkham Manor. It wasn't long before the Arkhams themselves found themselves suffering from mental illness and misfortune. After her husband died, Elizabeth Arkham suffered from a psychological breakdown and had to be cared for by her son, Amadeus. Bedridden with dementia, Elizabeth developed an irrational fear of being haunted by a dark, winged creature. Driven to find a treatment for his mother's condition, Amadeus left her to study and practice psychiatry in Metropolis, where he also met and married a woman named Constance. After the birth of their daughter Harriet, Amadeus earned a residency at Metropolis State Psychiatric Hospital, where he worked for years treating high-profile cases such as the serial killer Martin Mad Dog Hawkins. When Amadeus learned of his mother's worsening condition, he returned home to Arkham Manor and, realizing his mother was beyond help, slit her throat to end her suffering. Though he repressed the memory of doing so and told everyone she had committed suicide. Having inherited the manor, he decided to convert it into an asylum to treat the mentally ill. And shortly after Amadeus moved his family into the manor to begin renovations, he learned that Mad Dog Hawkins had escaped the Metropolis Hospital. He returned home one day to find his wife and daughter murdered and mutilated, the work of Mad Dog. Despite suffering his own mental breakdown, Amadeus completed renovations and opened Arkham Asylum just in time for Mad Dog to be captured and become one of Amadeus's first patients. On the anniversary of his wife and daughter's murder, Amadeus killed Mad Dog via electroshock therapy, though his death was ruled as an accident. Amadeus's descent into madness deteriorated over the years, and he began resorting to occult rituals to treat his patients. Eventually, Amadeus became a patient in his own asylum, where he remained until his eventual death. After Amadeus's death, his nephew, Jeremiah Arkham, inherited the asylum, which he tore down and rebuilt with state-of-the-art security systems to house mastermind and metahuman elements of Gotham's criminally insane. Despite continuous updates to its security system, Arkham developed a reputation for being a revolving door for certain villains with a penchant for outsmarting security or corrupting the staff. As the asylum's director and chief psychiatrist, Jeremiah was an avid believer that Batman's existence hindered his patients' treatment, as many of them were obsessed with him. And of course, you can learn more about Batman in our Batman vs. Moon Knight Duel episode. Once, when Batman was inside the facility, Jeremiah locked him in a room with many of his enemies. Batman managed to escape, however, and forced Jeremiah to question whether he himself was insane like his uncle or not. The Joker, in particular, has admitted responsibility for slowly driving and scaring Jeremiah into insanity. During the Nightfall storyline, Arkham Asylum suffered critical structural damage when Bane orchestrated a massive patient breakout using explosives. Unable to repair the damage, Jeremiah purchased Mercy Island, where he converted an old estate known as Mercy Mansion into the new Arkham Asylum. When Gotham was destroyed by an earthquake, Arkham Asylum was spared from the destruction, though Jeremiah freed all of his inmates rather than let them starve and riot due to a lack of supplies. Though his facility was repopulated after Gotham's renovation, Jeremiah destroyed it in an explosion while disguised as Black Mask. Among the ruins, he found his uncle Amadeus's journal undamaged, with outlines and blueprints for his original vision for Arkham Asylum, which inspired Jeremiah to rebuild the asylum according to those plans. Upon the asylum's completion, the facilities were sabotaged by Alice Sinner, Jeremiah's assistant director and secret lover of the real Black Mask. Jeremiah, while dealing with the sabotage, also suffered from psychological delusions of a nightmarish jester figure, and he succumbed to his insanity, becoming a patient just like his uncle. In post-Flashpoint continuity, it was revealed that Jeremiah had an affair with one of his staff members, Dr. Ingrid Carlson, who became pregnant and gave birth to their daughter, Astrid, in the asylum during a riot. Ingrid was killed, and to protect his daughter, Jeremiah housed her within a cell and raised her in the asylum. Astrid developed a deep hate for Batman as she grew up, becoming the Arkham Knight and leading a cult dedicated to killing Batman, though her plan was defeated and she became an inmate within her childhood home. Arkham Asylum was once again destroyed later during an all-out assault on Batman by most of his rogues gallery. Bruce Wayne was declared bankrupt simultaneously as part of an attack led by the villain Hush. Wayne Manor was seized by the government before being converted into the new Arkham Asylum. Eventually, Wayne Manor was reclaimed by Bruce's lawyers, and his patients were returned to a rebuilt Arkham Asylum. Now, Arkham Asylum houses Gotham's criminally insane. Mentally sound criminals go to Blackgate Penitentiary, though most of Batman's rogues have been to both. Arkham's most notorious inmate and Batman's most psychotic villain is, of course, the Joker, so his inclusion on my Arkham team was a no-brainer. Plus, we pit him in a duel against Green Goblin before, and I think those two are great character analogs for each other, character-wise if not ability-wise. The same went for my choice to go up against the Vulture, a bird-themed flying villain. And when it comes to bird themes, you can't overlook the Penguin, who can also fly via helicopter umbrella. The Penguin is primarily a Blackgate villain, but he has been an Arkham inmate before, as has Scarecrow, who actually worked for Arkham Asylum as Dr. Jonathan Crane. He's led Arkham in a war against Blackgate, so I thought he was important to have on my team, figuring he'd be the guy to go up against Mysterio, just like in our first Halloween Duel episode. Another obvious matchup was Clayface and Sandman. Even though those characters didn't face each other in prior duels, it made sense to me to put him on my team since he's a classic Batman villain. Poison Ivy, also a classic, and I figured her plant vines would be a good match for Dr. Octopus's tentacles. In a past duel, we pit Dr. Octopus up against Mr. Freeze, who I wanted to keep around and figured his elemental powers would be good to go up against Electro. Finally, Bane, though he's primarily associated with Blackgate, has been an inmate at Arkham, and I think he's one of Batman's most important foes, as well as a physical match for Kraven the Hunter. So that's my team. Joker, Penguin, Scarecrow, Clayface, Poison Ivy, Mr. Freeze, and Bane, all of whom you can learn more about in their respective duels that we've done in the past.
When it comes to choosing these teams, for the purposes of balance, we like to kind of pair up the 7 characters with a seemingly evenly matched opponent. So to reiterate, we paired up Joker and Green Goblin, Penguin and Vulture, Mr. Freeze and Electro, Dr. Octopus and Poison Ivy, Sandman and Clayface, Mysterio and Scarecrow, and Bane and Kraven the Hunter. I think that's a pretty even pairing, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see how this fight's going to go down. Because now that we've got the histories and rosters out of the way, we're going to speculate on how one of the simulated matches will play out beat for beat. The winning team is determined by simulations, not the speculation, but it is fun to imagine how this fight could play out.
And we don't set any rules for this match, other than the teams don't know anything about each other going in, except that the other team is a threat that needs to be put down. We say that both teams start off about 50 meters apart in an environment that has no bearing on the match itself, because we don't take stats for the environment.
Yeah, plus certain characters and teams have advantages in some environments over others, and we want the teams to win on their own merit. So let's get into it. The Arkham Asylum inmates and the Sinister Six meet on the battlefield. Who goes first?
I'm going to say that my guys go first because they're just way crazier than your guys, all right? And Joker, he's the craziest out of all of them, so he'll probably just start off like, Arkham Assemble! And then he's just going to activate these rocket roller skates and zip towards the Sinister Six, just like shooting them with his gun while laughing like a madman.
So you didn't technically have a speedster on your team, but I guess if you have rocket-powered roller skates, that's kind of like being a speedster.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. But, unfortunately for Joker, the gun that he starts shooting at the Sinister Six is one of those, prop guns, and all that comes out of the gun is just this flag that says, bang!
What? So Joker's probably like, whoopsie, gotta roll with it. And he'll jump out of his skates, which still move forward like out-of-control missiles, and just careen into the Sinister Six that detonate in these massive explosions, just blowing them all up.
Does he have missile roller skates?
Sure. He's the fucking Joker. Anything's possible.
All right, okay. But Dr. Octopus manages to snatch these roller missile skates off the ground with his tentacles, and he stretches them out away from the team so they don't get the brunt of the explosion.
Wait, so 2 of Dr. Octopus's tentacles are blown up now?
No, they're made out of titanium.
Lame.
But then Mysterio, he's just going to wave his arms, and the entire Sinister Six team are going to get enshrouded by this purple smoke that he conjures. And so the Arkham Asylum guys aren't going to be able to see shit.
The Joker's going to be like, purple haze! And then Penguin, he's going to pop open his umbrella to reveal, helicopter blades, which he fires up like a fan, and he just blows all that smoke away from them. And Scarecrow, he's going to put, his hands out in front of the fan, and it's going to emit this, orange fear gas that just drifts toward the Sinister Six. So now they're, all hallucinating and having a really bad trip.
No, maybe one of the Sinister Six even breathes in this gas, because the Vulture is just going to blow away Scarecrow's gas by flapping his wings. So we'll say, Kraven the Hunter gets a whiff of this fear toxin, and he looks at Bane, and he sees this, giant hulking Spider-Man, black suit Spider-Man, because Bane kind of has, a mask that resembles Spider-Man's eyes, so...
Yeah, like a luchador.
Yeah, so Kraven is going to react by shooting out this nerve gas from his vest that's going to paralyze Bane and the rest of the Batman villains.
But, most of my team is either immune to toxins and poisons, like Joker and Poison Ivy, or they don't need to breathe, like Clayface. Or they wear respirators, like Mr. Freeze or Scarecrow, right? Penguin, he has a fan. The only one who really gets affected is Bane. But he's smart, okay? So once he feels the gas take effect, he's just going to pump himself full of venom, which acts like an adrenaline shot and sends him into this rage. So he's going to rush Kraven, just pick him up, and throw him right into Green Goblin, knocking him off his glider.
So Bane overcame the nerve toxin through his venom?
Yes.
I forgot that so many of your guys can't be gassed.
Right.
That's stupid. But Green Goblin doesn't get knocked off his glider because he's going to see Kraven flying at him. He's just going to swat him away with his own super strength, you know? So Kraven's like a rag doll concussed on the ground. But Green Goblin, he's going to take to the sky on his goblin glider, like cackling like a maniac. And he's going to hurl a concussive pumpkin bomb that's going to embed itself into Clayface's body and just explode that guy all over the battlefield.
Those tiny pieces of Clayface, they're all going to turn into like mini Clayfaces. They're just going to start stabbing all of the Sinister Six members that they're attached to.
Green Goblin's explosion was big, so like all these Clayface guys, they're only like half an inch tall, so they're just poking the Sinister Six and more of a nuisance than anything else.
So while they're distracted, Mr. Freeze, he's going to take aim at Electro, and he's just going to turn him into an ice sculpture.
He's just going to blast himself out of the ice with this like electric blast, and then he's going to shoot this big ass bolt of lightning at the Joker and just fucking fry the dude.
Joker, he's used to electroshock therapy, right? He probably gets off on it. so he's not dead, but he's probably knocked out for a bit with like a big smile on his face, like bigger than usual. Meanwhile, Poison Ivy, she notices Green Goblin flying around on his glider, so she's gonna create like these two like beanstalks that shoot straight up beneath him and just wrap his glider with vines, just crushing it beyond repair.
All right, that's a good move. So Green Goblin is stranded by the vines. So he'll be stuck up there. Sandman, meanwhile, is going to form one of his hands into like this giant hand. And he's going to pick Bane up, just lift him off the ground and slam him into the floor, just holding him there and pinning him and burying him like a kind of quicksand. So Bane's like drowning in this.
Okay, but before Bane suffocates, Clayface, he's going to be finished like reforming himself from all the little mini pieces that were all around the environment. And he's going to transform one arm into a saw blade that just slices Sandman's arm right off. And the other arm stretches and grabs Bane out of that sand pile, rescuing him.
That seems very heroic for a villain, yeah?
Well, I mean, Clayface was a hero for a time. He worked alongside Batman. Why not?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Penguin, he's going to fly with his helicopter umbrella up over to Green Goblin, you know, who's still stuck in the air in those vines, and he's going to start pumping him full of lead with an Uzi.
No, because Green Goblin, he's going to dodge these bullets by leaping from his broken glider. And as he like slides down Poison Ivy's beanstalks, he's going to hurl this razor bat that just slices right through Penguin's helicopter umbrella, and Penguin's just going to fall to his death. Like, wah!
Okay, I mean, before Penguin hits the ground, though, he's going to pull out like a small collapsible parasol that like lets him drift gently to the ground like a parachute. Meanwhile, Scarecrow, he's going to use gas to like hide his movement, so he's shrouded in this fog that no one can see through. And that's going to allow him to sneak up on Dr. Octopus and plunge his syringe fingers into Dr. Octopus's neck, making him believe that his allies are his enemies.
Well, it's too bad that those syringes just go right through Dr. Octopus's neck, because that wasn't really Dr. Octopus. Mysterio has created holographic duplicates of all his teammates to throw off the Batman villains.
I freaking hate Mysterio. He is the worst. This is exactly what I was afraid of happening during this match.
Yeah, because Mysterio then is going to appear behind Scarecrow, and he's just going to blast the guy with an energy beam from his eye blasters on his chest. And the real Dr. Octopus, he's like on the other side of the battlefield, wrapping up Poison Ivy with his tentacles, and he's going to like squeeze her, cutting off her air supply and like breaking all her bones.
Ew, okay. Well, that's just going to cause her, like before any of her bones are broken or anything like that, she's going to cause this tall flower to sprout out of the ground really quickly and bloom, emitting this pheromone cloud in Dr. Octopus's face. So now he's under her control.
Why do you keep trying to turn Dr. Octopus against his teammates? I don't get it.
He's a tough guy. But she makes him attack Electro and just rip off his head.
Well, that's stupid. That was your first mistake, my friend, because Electro, he's just going to send an electric current through Doc Ock's tentacles, that tase Doc Ock and make him fall to the ground and knock him unconscious from this pheromone spell or whatever. And while that's happening, Vulture is going to fly over to Bane, slicing him with his wings, severing the tubes of venom that feed into his system. And with his other wing, he's just going to slice right into Bane's guts, just spilling them.
Except that wasn't Bane. It was Clayface who was pretending to be Bane.
Too much deception.
So Clayface, he's going to retaliate by stretching his arm out and grabbing the Vulture and just pulling him right into his body, where Vulture like suffocates and dies.
No, because Vulture could get out of that just by slicing Clayface from the inside.
Dude, no, because not only is Clayface malleable, so he can't be cut easily, but he's just going to crush Vulture while he's inside of him.
Jeez. So Vulture is, I don't see a way he could get out of there. I guess he's the first one to go.
First Blood goes to DC. Meanwhile, Poison Ivy creates this giant Venus flytrap that swallows Kraven.
I don't think Kraven is a stranger to this kind of situation. He's just going to slash his way out of the Venus flytrap's mouth using one of his hunting knives. And while Poison Ivy is like, no, my baby, or whatever, Sandman's just going to flatten her like a pancake by smashing her with a hammer fist. So now Poison Ivy's out.
What? She's like one of my most powerful characters.
Not powerful enough to stop giant hammers.
I guess. Okay. Well, that happened. Bane, he's going to be going up against Mysterio.
There's no way Bane could even touch Mysterio.
Well, I know. He's probably going to have a hard time finding him through his illusions, but Mr. Freeze is not going to have that problem. He'll be tracking Mysterio, seeing through his illusions with his infrared goggles, okay? So
that's right.
Freeze covers Mysterio in ice before Bane shatters him with a punch. Now Mysterio is out.
I forgot that Mr. Freeze has infrared goggles.
Yeah, no illusions for him.
So, okay, yeah, sure, Mysterio's out. Totally dead. Yeah, definitely. Mysterio, gone. Except for his glass ball helmet, which is gonna, like, glow and just float away from the battlefield.
No, dude, there's no way he would have gotten out of that. Like, he couldn't hide.
So the helmet floats away, and Mr. Freeze is like, what the fuck just happened? And all of a sudden, Mr. Freeze just erupts into flames because Green Goblin just threw an incendiary bomb at him. And the bomb is gonna, like, shatter his glass helmet and set his whole head on fire.
Jeez.
So Mr. Freeze is dead.
Okay, but by this time, Joker is awake, all right? And he sees Electro, who electrocuted him earlier, right? So he's gonna pull out a jack-in-the-box and just begin winding it. Just, like sitting with it in his lap, just kind of like humming along with the song. It's gonna pop open, and like this Joker figure is gonna spring all the way over to Electro, dousing him with Joker venom gas that poisons and kills him, and he just dies with a smile. And Joker's like, now that was a shock. Get it?
I mean, it's a fine pun. I just hate that Electro's gone.
Okay.
But as that happened, Dr. Octopus was fighting Clayface. And with one of his tentacles, he's going to snatch up Mr. Freeze's ice gun from the ground, and he's just going to blast Clayface with it. And then Doc Ock will just shatter Clayface to pieces.
Ice is one of Clayface's weaknesses. That was a good move.
Yeah, Dr. Octopus is like smart enough to know that would work. So,
well, in a similar vein, Penguin is going to blast Sandman with his flamethrower umbrella, which turns him into glass. Right before Penguin fires a shotgun round at him that just shatters Sandman to pieces.
How many umbrellas does Penguin have?
It's the same umbrella.
It's a flamethrower and a shotgun umbrella?
You know it.
That's stupid. I hate this game.
Don't be jealous.
Well, Kraven is going to see what Penguin just did, and he's going to shoot a poison-tipped dart at Penguin from his blowgun.
No, because Penguin opens up his umbrella as a shield, like just in time, blocking that dart.
So this is a flamethrower / shotgun / shield umbrella. Let me get that straight.
What umbrella is not a shield?
That's true. I guess any umbrella would stop a blow dart.
Right, yeah.
But Kraven is going to charge Penguin with his spear, and Penguin's going to be like, oh shit, and he's going to take a step back right into a bear trap that Kraven had set. So that thing is just going to close right on Penguin's ankle and just shatter it. So when Kraven reaches a Penguin, he's just going to knock his stupid umbrella away with his spear and just run it through him, impaling Penguin. And it makes sense because, Penguin's like named after an animal, even though this is probably the first penguin that Kraven ever killed.
I love that Kraven had enough time at some point to set a bear trap.
It's what he does. It's what he does.
All right. Meanwhile, Green Goblin and Scarecrow are fighting.
And Green Goblin is just totally laying Scarecrow out because Green Goblin's too strong.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Green Goblin is probably standing over Scarecrow about to deliver this killing blow. But Scarecrow, he's really frightened. So he's going to quickly rip off Green Goblin's mask and just gas him, right in the face, okay? So he gets a full concentrated dose. So Norman Osborn, he sees his goblin mask, and he's just going to have this existential, breakdown. And at that point, Scarecrow is going to grab Norman's satchel and then just blow him up with one of his own pumpkin bombs.
That was pretty good because not only did you use, Norman Osborn's broken psyche against him with the mask thing.
Yeah.
I also feel like it's thematically apt for the Scarecrow to use Green Goblin's Halloween weapons.
Oh, yeah, totally. He's going to be like, I need to make some of these for my own self.
Honestly, I thought Green Goblin would be the last man standing, but I'm not even upset about how he just went out, because that's pretty good. But Dr. Octopus, he's going to be fighting Bane, and Bane is in a frenzy on the Venom dose, attacking the arms, and he can probably handle one or two of the tentacles, but not four at a time. So, without breaking a sweat, Doc Ock just, rips out the tubes from Bane's head that administer the venom, and then he's going to lift Bane into the air with two of his tentacles and just slam Bane's back over the other two, breaking him in half.
He doesn't break his back, he breaks him in half?
Snaps his spine in half.
Okay, well, he's dead. But Dr. Octopus, he's not going to be able to appreciate the irony of what just happened, because he's going to be too busy just screaming in agony after Joker just showers his back in corrosive acid from his, lapel on his suit. And that's just going to disintegrate his tentacles at their base.
What kind of acid is this?
It's highly corrosive acid. It goes through really, really tough metals, all right? So Joker, he's just going to grab a hold of Dr. Octopus's head and then shock him with 1,000,000 volts using his hand buzzer.
That's Electro shtick. You can't do that.
Totally did it. Just happened. And while that happened, Scarecrow, he's probably going to be going toe-to-toe with Kraven, right? Using his scythe against Kraven and his spear, I imagine.
Well, that's a bad idea, because Kraven is an expert with weapons, and he would totally kick Scarecrow's ass. That being said, Kraven's going to already know to keep Scarecrow away at a distance, because he's already been exposed to his fear gas earlier in this match. So he'd just freaking haymaker the guy's hay face, knocking him 15 meters away. Just knock him away.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, Scarecrow, he's just gonna reach into his Green Goblin satchel and just hurl a volley of explosive pumpkin bombs right at Kraven. Boom.
Except he played into this perfectly. Kraven strategically put Scarecrow at a distance, knowing that he'd resort to those pumpkin bombs. So, as Scarecrow was about to throw these grenades, Kraven hurls a net at Scarecrow that, traps Scarecrow's arm from throwing the grenade, and it's just gonna blow him and all of his bombs up.
Damn! Jeez. Okay, Scarecrow explodes, but in the explosion, one of the syringes that Scarecrow had on his, Freddy Krueger glove, that's gonna, fly off and stick, right into Kraven's leg, injecting him with a toxin, a fear toxin, that makes him super, super afraid of clowns. And since Joker and Kraven are the only ones left, Joker just has to walk up to Kraven, and Kraven's basically just gonna die of fright. Game over. Arkham Asylum for the win.
Okay, but before Kraven dies of fright, this glowing glass ball is going to fly into the battlefield right in front of Joker, and it's gonna strobe a lot, right? Which means it's hypnotizing Joker into being deathly afraid of lions.
The same glass ball that was Mysterio's head earlier?
Yeah, of course.
How did I know this was gonna happen? This is bullshit.
So before Kraven dies of fright of clowns, Joker's gonna die of fright of lions.
Mysterio's dead.
Mysterio's essence lives on,
What?
It's just part of his shtick.
So was that a robot or something earlier?
Who knows? It's a mystery. It's a mystery. So either Scarecrow's fear toxin in Kraven makes him die of fright from the Joker, or Mysterio's hypnosis of Joker makes him die of fright of lions. Let's go ahead and see which scenario happens by inputting the team stats into our simulation runner and finding out which of these teams comes out on top. All right, that was pretty fun. I think we had some pretty good deaths this time. Like, there was nothing like what happened to Man-Bat in our last team duel, you know?
That was upsetting.
But after inputting the stats, I honestly thought that Sinister Six was just going to dominate in a lot of these stats, considering that they're Spider-Man villains and the Arkham Asylum inmates are Batman villains. And we all know that Spider-Man's stronger than Batman.
I'm not going to lie. I was actually afraid of the same thing, but the Arkham inmates actually did a much better job stat-wise going up against the Sinister Six than I thought they would have.
Well, that's because a lot of the Batman villains can be classified as highly intelligent. Like, almost every single villain on your team, except for Clayface, is like a world-renowned authority in their field.
Exactly. Yeah, we definitely outclassed you guys when it came to intelligence and actually fighting skill.
Well, yeah, because Kraven was definitely my best fighter, but people like Mysterio and Electro and Dr. Octopus, they don't have a whole lot of formal training. Whereas quite a few of your guys, except for like Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy, did.
Yeah, and Bane was definitely the best fighter out of anyone. But in collecting these stats, I learned that the DC guys are way slower compared to the Sinister Six.
Oh, yeah. Freaking Sinister Six dominated when it came to speed by like a lot. Because Green Goblin, Vulture, Electro, they all have speed going for them. Even Doc Ock, who can move really fast. Kraven the Hunter can move as fast as a cheetah. Whereas like all your guys were not that fast at traveling.
No, I mean, the only one who could fly really was the Penguin. So yeah, they're pretty slow.
The Sinister Six also had a slight advantage overall when it came to physical strength, which makes sense because Spider-Man himself can lift 10 tons, so they all have to somewhat be a physical match.
Right. Characters like Scarecrow, like Penguin, like Joker, they're definitely not that strong.
After running 1,000 simulations between each character
against each other character,
the strongest person overall was definitely Sandman and Clayface. Those guys have really amped up stats when it comes to like evasiveness and durability, considering that it's really hard to kill them.
Yeah, they actually had the same exact stats, which was kind of funny.
And other heavy hitters were people like Mr. Freeze, Green Goblin. The least successful character in all of their duel matchups was Scarecrow, followed by Vulture. Those guys were both on the lower end, winning less than a third of all their battles. So with all this taken into consideration, Jonathan, who's your money on for this?
I'm going to have to go with Arkham Asylum. I thought they were the underdogs, but I think they could actually take this. And our followers on Instagram agree. 58% of them also voted in favor of Arkham Asylum.
Which kind of came as a shock to me. Like, apparently these Batman villains must be super popular or something. I don't know.
Dude, they are the most popular. Batman's villains, the most iconic villains, hands down.
More than Spider-Man's villains? I don't know.
Absolutely.
But what I do know is who won this match, so let me go ahead and read the results. The winner between Arkham Asylum and Sinister Six is Sinister Six.
Fuck!
In your face, in the face of anybody who voted in the Instagram poll for Arkham Asylum, because what were you thinking? Sinister Six all day, every day.
It could not have been by much, though.
The Spider-Man villains ended up winning 51.1% of the time, whereas Arkham Asylum only won 48.9%.
That's close. That's really close.
I mean, it's about a difference of 22 matches, so that doesn't seem that close to me.
I mean, 22 out of 1,000? Yeah, that's not bad.
Not really, though, if you think about it.
Honestly, I'm proud of Arkham Asylum. I did not think that they were going to do that well. I was worried that they weren't, but we got close. We got real close.
Well, you could be proud for them, but you shouldn't, because they lost. I was expecting you to cry here. I'm a little bit disappointed.
No, if anything, I think you're going to cry because you thought that your guys were going to do better than they did.
Hey, it doesn't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning is winning.
Is that a Fast and Furious quote?
Oh, shit, it is. I don't think I've even seen that movie. I only know the memes. But that does it for this duel. Let us know what you guys thought about the results by writing to us at dynamicduelpodcast@gmail.com or by visiting us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You can find links to all of our accounts by checking out our show notes or visiting our website, dynamicduel.com.
And also, please don't forget to review our podcast or one of our episodes on podchaser.com. They'll donate 25 cents to World Central Kitchen to help provide food supplies for families in need fleeing Ukraine. So go to podchaser.com/dynamicduel and write us a review.
Yeah, remember, it's for a great cause, guys. In our next episode, we will be bringing on some guests, John and Adam Speas from the Blast from Our Past podcast. You may know them from our earlier review episodes where we reviewed X-Men Origins Wolverine and Batman, the 1960s movie. This time, we're going to review Batman Forever, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. Definitely tune in next week.
But that does it for this episode. We want to give a big thanks to our executive producers, John Speas, Ken Johnson, John Starosky, Zachary Hepburn, Mitchell Phipps, Dustyn Balcom, and Levi Yeaton for helping make this podcast possible. We'll talk to you guys next week. Up, and away!
True believers.